Joan Sarro, who's going to join us, and we're going to talk about something that, I got to be honest, for the subject matter that Dave and I normally talk about, this will seem very odd, but I can tell you there are some very significant tie-ins, and one for me very personally that will sort of translate to the male audience, because I got a feeling that there's going to be a lot of guys who go, I know exactly what you are talking about. And it's something that men don't talk about because generally it's not considered to be a male issue. But in the greater picture and scheme of life, it completely is a dominating factor in a lot of men's lives for some very obvious reasons. And when we go to Joan Sarro, a couple of things here. Number one, she's coming from Calgary. And so I just asked her, because her cousin is Tony Spallettini, one of the best guys on the planet. A lot of know him from obviously CFL days, but in Calgary, because of Mike Palumbo, Spalumbo's Deli, as Dave will tell you, pretty much the greatest sandwiches in the history of mankind. Yes. And so in the Italian world, I saw Anthony Petrucci, a good friend of ours, Palma Pasta, this past week. I saw him on the week. When you meet an Italian person where you have to keep distance, no hugging, no kissing, Joan. You know how awkward that is when you see your fratello and you can't do anything. He's looking at me. He's almost welling up because there's no physical contact. There's no kissing. There's no nothing. It is difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah, absolutely.
Like for Italians, that's just, that is the connection. Now, the other thing, so obviously representing Bell, because we're going to talk about some Bell products, but Joan is also a registered master herbalist. So when we throw out a title like that, Joan, what does that mean?
So in Canada, unfortunately, anyone can call themselves a herbalist, but we do have a self-regulating body, and we have certain standards that need to be met in order to call yourself registered or to be registered. So certain level of education, usually 4 years, and then practicum with other practitioners throughout Canada. And some of us have studied with people outside of Canada as well. And then having your own practice for a certain amount of time as well.
So an actual practice yourself, that is the job.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're dealing with people one-on-one. With Bell, I end up usually more consulting with groups of people through my job, which is actually more in sales, but I just do education as well. So it's a little bit different, but something I really enjoy.
Yeah, well, it is at the very essence, dealing with helping human beings. Either that's something that, when people talk about a job, but then there are those that say, well, this is more than a job. This is something that you want to do personally because it is helping others.
Exactly.
When we get Joan to the topic today, which is a part of it is menopause, but PMS, but menopause. The one thing that maybe those men listening, and we'll see later on today, is that as much as it's, this is a sports show, we talk about scores and trades, we talk about a lot of guy things. Well, oddly enough, sometimes the most, or what has the most effect on us is the relationship we have with our girlfriends and in a lot of cases, wives. And when you get to a certain point in life, if I'm to be honest, if someone asked me about menopause, what is it? I kind of know, but I kind of don't know. And what I didn't know has, and at times for a lot of men, a really difficult effect on a relationship. And I know one in particular where it was so damaging and it got so bad between them. The guy actually had a heart attack. He had a heart attack because literally his wife became somebody else. And he didn't understand why. It was too late by the time the issue was addressed, and it was during the menopausal period where there can be, I guess, you'll explain to us here momentarily, a certain effect on relationships, or if it's untreated and really a difficult time for the woman, the relationships can be completely destroyed if this is not held intact or at least dealt with on a certain level. So explain to us, and for men this morning, just exactly what I'm talking about.
So, yeah, I think unfortunately, because it's still a bit of a taboo, and not just menopause, but menstruation, like all of it. It's so taboo and it's almost become a bit of a punchline, I guess you could say, like
Sure,
hormonal
it has. Sure.
fluctuations, that kind of thing. And, you know, men experience it too. I'll use a technical scientific term, menopause, right? So men can experience it too as well. And a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, so for women, we're born with a finite amount of eggs, and those eggs, the follicles in those eggs create a lot of our estrogen. And menopause is basically when we're out of those eggs. So that stops, and our estrogen production then goes down significantly. And if we're not prepared for that, and then just like everything else, there's underlying factors like, diet, exercise, and even something simple like knowing what supplements to take to get us through, working with our doctors to how we can manage that, along with someone like me, a natural health practitioner, all together, working as a team. And to be open and honest about it. And for women to feel like they can be open and honest with their partners, like, ooh, you know what, this is happening to me. It's a little bit scary. Yeah, I think we all just need to be more open, men and women, just about the fluctuation in hormones and what happens.
And you talked about, oh, sorry, go on. Sorry, my mistake.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the unique properties in Formula 34, how does that help the situation to I guess, when you talk about using a supplement to benefit a situation, how would it help in this situation? It's the PMS combo is what it's called, number 34.
Yeah, so we have two relatable products, PMS combo and menopause combo. So PMS combo is, and you know what, some women might find in different stages, each one might work. So they're almost interchangeable in a way, because the thing about hormones is with women is it's very individualized. Some women have too much estrogen, some have too much progesterone. But in our menopause formula, some of the herbs in there are what we call phytoestrogens. And so they can help us produce estrogen as our ability to create it ourselves kind of goes down. And that can actually help men as well. So men also produce estrogen. The pituitary gland rules all of our hormones the same, like testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. And there's something called endocrine disrupting chemicals. There's been 40 years of research. It's all peer-reviewed, legitimate science, that certain toxins in our environment that we're exposed to on a regular basis, and cleaners, beauty products, hair products, create xenoestrogens, they're called. So they mimic estrogen, and they can bind to our receptor sites just like hormones can. And so that can create too much estrogen in our bodies for men and women. And so something like our menopause product, menopause combo, with the phytoestrogens, that can help. The phytoestrogens basically block the xenoestrogens and just help all of us function better. So that's an option. PMS combo can really help with the transition from menstruation. A lot of women go through a very long process from menstruation into menopause. So that can help the transitionary period, keeping the hormones more balanced throughout, so there aren't such drastic fluctuations, which can lead to, some women experience nothing. Some it's like hot flashes, night sweats, not able to sleep. And some people do experience those very drastic mood swings. So if we can mitigate those, then that's great. And some women do need to be on hormone replacement therapy. A lot of doctors now try to avoid that. It can create heart problems and other issues. So it's worth it to give it a shot, to try some natural health products just to see if that can help. They take longer to work for sure, but
it's like the other things that we've talked about, which is allowing the body itself that can produce certain things. The natural products are just as opposed to, as you said, really drastic therapies and pharmaceuticals. We're trying to get the body to react to something that it naturally has. And I think that, when you talk about these areas and you said, mood swings, which is, again, sort of the joke, right? Someone's PMSing, like whatever that
Yes.
punchline is. Well, the fact is, when it gets into menopause like this, it starts to, for a lot of the men, they start to question mental health. So depression, anxiety, all these other things, and it can get pretty scary for a lot of couples where the relationship and the family life starts to take quite a beating, literally a beating.
Yeah.
And I think just to say that it's funny all the time, or that here she goes again, that kind of stuff, it's kind of cruel. It's kind of cruel in a way.
It is. I think there needs to be, on the emotional side of it, like I mentioned at the top, there needs to be less taboo, more communication, more open communication. Hopefully, if you've had a relationship long enough where you've been together through all the transitions in life, and then, through menopause and through those hormonal changes, that hopefully a couple can be comfortable enough with each other to talk to each other and know that, and also for women, I think it can be a little bit of a mourning period, right? Like, it's such a drastic, I mean, personally, I'm kind of looking forward to it, to not having to deal with that anymore. But yeah, I'm sure for a lot of people, it's letting go of that part of for women, it's so physical. Like, men go through a lot of hormonal changes too, but for women, every process, like from the beginning, menstruation, which can happen quite young, it's kind of confusing, to pregnancy, to maybe even fertility issues, and it's such a physical manifestation in us that it's just a very pronounced, it's almost like there should be some sort of, and it depends on the culture, but there should be some sort of ritual we go through to make it understand that it's okay. It's a transition. Like, who wants to keep having babies into their 70s? You know what I mean? Like, or 60s or whatever. So
wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. As they always said, if it was up to men in pregnancy, we'd have no kids, because men just would not put up with what the reality is. It's unfair. Like, when you look at what happens in that gender as opposed to this one, it's like, what's our big thing? Wow. Like, even when it comes to weddings, what are you going to wear? Tuxedo, I guess. Are you going to pick that
women
up for me?
and on that note, women are incredibly strong. And I think that's what we all have to recognize. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. It's a transition. It's something we can get through. And there is help out there, Yeah.
Well, it's like, if an alien is looking down and they have to make a judgment on the species itself, and they go, well, which one has to go through the most? It's not close. It really is not close. It's not. Well, there's a lot of lifting on our side. Yeah. Ask a woman if she'd like to trade some of that for just the lifting part. I think they'd be fine with that. I think most women,
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Give me the brick, give me the log. I think I'll be fine. Well, it's funny. There's some people making comments about what we're talking about this morning. They're just not used to this, but that's the point. But that is the point of this. And as I said, for some people that I've known where it's been kind of scary for them, had they heard this, maybe they go to their wives and say, okay, look, I know we're not going to go through the hospital and therapies and replacement. Can we at least just try this? And I think at the very essence of what we talk about during these things with our friends at Bell, we're not saying this replaces everything. That's not what we're talking about. Or it's a cure-all. We're not talking about curing something. We're saying giving your body a chance to do it naturally. That's really all what we're saying here. That's what we're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. The plants, and why I love our formulas. Tim, our fearless leader, GM, was thinking about discontinuing PMS combo. And I think I may have put the fear in him. I was like, you cannot get rid of this. There are
especially if you do it in that voice, especially
exactly.
If you
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, there are a lot of PMS formulas on the market, natural health, and a lot of them contain what I like to call nutraceuticals. I'm not going to really go into it, but ours is all plant-based. There's some vitamin B6 in it. That's about it. And plants, I mean, obviously as a herbalist, I'm going to say this, but plants work synergistically with our body. to give us what we need. For the most part, with most herbs and the herbs in our formula, if we don't need something, they're not gonna mess with us. So
Yeah.
it's a good rhythm for sure.
Well, it's been, as I said, very different for us here this morning, but I think also very important. And, if you consider your relationship and family life to be important, then that's what we're talking about. And the product numbers, just so you know, once again, the PMS combo was number 34 and the menopause combo is number 33. Important to remember. That's what I like about Bell. People are like, what was it again? It's 34 and 33 is what you look for. Joan, thanks so much for this morning. Always appreciate the time. Great job here today.
Thanks,
Thank
Joan.
you. Great to see you guys. Take care.
That is Joan Sarro, who is one of our favorites and registered master herbalist as well. So if you're in the Calgary area and you need help, that's the person you're going to get a hold of and
Exactly.
talk about some of those issues.